Hello, my name is Mr. Roeder, or as my students like to call me, Mr. Sam. I'm a special education teacher at Middleton Elementary School in Sherwood, Oregon, and I'm going to continue one of my reads that I've been doing the past couple nights, and that is Superfudge by Judy Blume. This is being read to you with permission by Scholastic. They have lifted some of their copyrights for teachers until the end of June so that we can be able to continue to provide education services to our students while we are currently out of school due to the pandemic that's going on right now. So again, with permission from Scholastic, this is Judy Blume's Superfudge. This is part 3 of our videos right now. We are on chapter 9 of Superfudge. So if you happen to have the book, go ahead and grab it and you can follow along with us. If you haven't been following along already, there's 2 other prior videos, part 1 and part 2. You can go ahead and click on those. Those are in my past streams, and you can follow along that way. Again, this one will also become a past stream, so you'll be able to come back to it if you need to. So if you have the book, definitely follow along with me. If not, just go ahead and enjoy the reading from me, okay? There's no pictures in this, so this will just be me reading the book to you. All right, again, mission from Scholastic, Judy Blume's Superfudge, Chapter 9. Chapter 9, Superfudge. Fudge has a friend. His name is Daniel. He's pudgy with a lot of red hair and ears that stick out more than mine. The first time I saw him, he was standing in front of Uncle Feather's cage, lecturing to Fudge. Myna birds are native to India and other parts of Asia. The common house myna is a bold, fearless bird, somewhat larger than a robin. Robin, Robin, Uncle Feather repeated. Shut up and listen, Fudge told Uncle Feather. Don't you want to learn about yourself? Daniel continued. The myna is a noisy, sociable bird. I'll say, I said from the doorway, where I'd been listening. Daniel turned around and stared at me. Who are you? He asked. Peter, Fudge's older brother. I told him. Who are you? Daniel Manham. I'm 6. I live at 432 Vine Street. You want to make something of it? He delivered the last sentence in a tough guy voice, so that it came out sounding like, yeah, want to make something of it? Not especially, I told him, trying not to laugh. Daniel turned back to Uncle Feather. Many myna birds learn to imitate the human voice. They can talk, sing, and whistle. The common house myna is genus Acrodorithis, species A. Tristerius. Definitely try saying that multiple times. Daniel is a bird expert, Fudge said. So I see, I answered. You want to hear about the vulture? Daniel asked. Some other time, I told him. Daniel came for lunch on Saturday. Would you like peanut butter or tuna fish? Mom asked him. Tuna fish, Daniel said. You want to make something of it? No, Mom said, looking surprised at Daniel's tough guy line. Tuna fish will be just fine. Where's the dinner? Daniel asked. I always watch TV while I'm eating. It's in the living room, Fudge said. You don't have a TV in the kitchen? Daniel asked. No, Mom said. We don't. I feel sorry for you, Daniel said, pushing back his chair. He stood up. I guess I'll have my lunch in the living room then. We don't watch TV while we're eating, Mom said. So why don't you sit down and wait until lunch is ready? Daniel pouted. I won't have much of an appetite without the TV. If you're not hungry, you don't have to eat. TV shouldn't have something to do with it. I was thinking that it wouldn't hurt the kid to skip a couple of meals anyway. I watched Nickelodeon and the Cartoon Network, Fudge said, as if anybody cared. And all the commercials. I never miss the commercials. They're my favorite. My father used to write commercials, but now he's writing a book. One time, I was in a commercial. I rode a Tuttle bike. No, you didn't, Daniel said. I did too, Fudge told him. I don't believe you, Daniel said. Mom brought the tuna fish sandwich and 2 glasses of milk to the table. I don't eat anything with onions. I don't eat lima beans or peas. I only drink chocolate milk and cut the crust off my bread, Daniel said. There are no onions, lima beans, or peas in tuna fish, Mom said. I knew from her voice she was all ready to tell Daniel exactly what he could do with his lunch if he didn't like it. But she walked back to the pantry and brought out the cocoa. You can put it in as much as you like, she said as she cut the crust off Daniel's sandwich. There. Now you should be all set. Wasn't I in a commercial, Mommy? Fudge said. Yes, Mom said. Fudge was in the toddler bike commercial. So, see, I told you. Did you get paid? Daniel asked. I don't know, Fudge said. Did I get paid, Mommy? I wasn't there, Fudgy, remember? I was visiting Aunt Linda and the new baby in Boston. Oh, that's right. Did I get paid, Peta? You got all the Oreos you could eat, I said. I got Oreos, Fudge told Daniel. I hate Oreos, Daniel said. On the same day that Daniel was eating his tuna fish sandwich without onions, peas, lima beans, or crust, Tootsie learned to crawl. 1 minute she was just rocking back and forth on all fours, and the next minute she was moving across the floor. Mom ran to get Dad, and he raced upstairs for the camera. And for the rest of the day, we took home movies. Tootsie was the star. Only Daniel was unimpressed. All babies crawl, he said. After a week of crawling, Tootsie became an expert. She could move so fast it was hard to keep up with her. Not only that, but she learned to pull herself up to a standing position. You couldn't leave anything around anymore. Whatever she found went straight into her mouth. And she found everything, from crayons to spools of thread, Legos to Dad's notebook. She chewed up 3 pages of his notes one afternoon, and it took Dad all night to try to glue them back together. Mom and Dad decided to baby-proof the house. They removed everything that Tootsie could possibly reach. Tootsie was very pleased with herself. She said, Aga Bahafum. Turtle learned to crawl too. He'd move across the floor flat on his belly, and Tootsie would chase him laughing. Turtle and Tootsie were friends. I kept the door to my room closed at all times. I wasn't taking any chances. Dad put up a gate at the top of the stairs and another at the bottom. He had to be careful not to step on Tootsie. She was almost always underfoot. Put her in the playpen, Fudge wailed one day after she got into his Legos and scattered them. She needs the freedom to explore, Dad explained. Well, too bad if she gets in my way, Fudge said. She'll just have to learn that I'm her big brother. And clunk, he stepped on her, and Tootsie screamed. On the following Saturday, Jimmy Fargo came to visit. Wow, I can't believe how much the baby's grown, he said, when he saw Tootsie racing across the living room floor. When you moved, she was about the same size as my cat, and now she's a regular baby. Putza, Tootsie said, pulling herself up on her legs. What's she saying? Jimmy asked. Nothing, just baby talk, I told him. Jimmy was even more impressed with Uncle Feather than with Tootsie. Wow, that's some bird, Jimmy said. He speaks French. Say bonjour, I told Jimmy. Bonjour, birdie, Jimmy said. Bonjour, stupid, Uncle Feather answered. I laughed. Jimmy didn't. Hey, turkey brain, my name's Jimmy. Can you say that? Jimmy. Say that. Say that. No, Dumbo, it's Jimmy. Dumbo Jimmy. Jumbo Jimmy. No, it's just plain Jimmy. Plain Jimmy. Plain Jimmy. I give up, you turkey brain. Turkey, turkey, Jimmy turkey. Stop it, Jimmy shouted. Stop it. Stop it. I quit. 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 Jimmy finally laughed. Some bird. Alex came over to meet Jimmy. He said, So you're the great Jimmy Fargo. Who said I was great? Well, the way Peter always talks about you. Yeah, well, the way he's always talking about you, I figured you must be the great Alex Santo. I am, Alex said. Well, then I'm the great Jimmy Fargo. After that, it was downhill all the way. It's hard to be caught in the middle between your two best friends. I think Mom knew I was having a hard time because she said, "How would you boys like to go to the movies this afternoon?" "What's playing?" Jimmy asked. "Superman," Mom said. "I already saw it," Jimmy said. "So did I said. "But I wouldn't mind seeing it again." "I saw it twice," Jimmy said. "I never even saw it once," Alex said. "It was better the second time," Jimmy said. "And I'll bet it'll be better still the third time," Mom said. "Okay, I'll go," Jimmy said. He bent down to tie his shoelace. Mom said, "Wonderful, and the three of you can take Fudge and Daniel." I had a quick conference with Alex and Jimmy. "I don't care if Fudge comes with us as long as I don't have to sit next to him," Jimmy said. "Same for me. And I won't sit next to the other one either. The other one is a nerd," Alex said. "Same for me," Jimmy said. I went back to Mom. "Okay, we'll take them, but we're not sitting next to them." "That's reasonable," Mom said. "It's a deal," I told Alex and Jimmy. We walked into town. We were nearly too early to buy tickets, so we showed Jimmy his father's painting in the window at the gallery. I dressed up as Anita's anger for Halloween. My costume was outstanding, if I say so myself. "You don't think you're too great, do you?" "I'm just telling the truth." "I can't believe this guy," Jimmy whispered to me. "He's usually not like this," I whispered back. I never should have gotten the two of them together, I thought. They really couldn't stand each other, and they were making me miserable. "Hey, let's go in and introduce Jimmy to Beverly." Trying to sound cheerful, Beverly greeted us. "Well, if it isn't Alex and Peter and Fudge and Daniel Manham," Daniel said. "I'm 6. I live at 432 Vine." "Glad to meet you, Daniel," Beverly said. "And this is Jimmy Fargo." "You know, Fargo? Frank's son?" Beverly asked. "That's right. I just love your father's paintings. They're so original." "He's working on a new one. It's called Salamis on Parade." Salamis on Parade, my apologies. "Sounds fascinating," Beverly said. "My father likes salami. Salami and onion sandwiches are his favorite." "I don't eat anything with onions," Daniel said. "We know," I said. Salami and onions. My father could just live on salami and onions. "I'll bet he doesn't do much kissing." "That's right," Jimmy said. "My mother's the one who loves kissing. That's why she moved to Vermont." "Well," Beverly said, "I'd certainly like to meet your father someday." "Maybe we can arrange that," I said, thinking that Beverly and Mr. Fargo might really like each other. And Jimmy must have been thinking the same thing, because he said, "He doesn't eat salami and onions every day. On Sundays, he likes lox and eggs." "I don't eat anything with onions or lima beans or peas," Daniel said. "I hate crust on my bread, and I only drink chocolate milk." "You're a fussy eater," Beverly said. "That's right. You want to make something of it?" "No, I certainly don't." "We have to go now," I said. "We're going to see Superman." "Have a good time," Beverly called. I wondered if anybody ever went into the gallery besides us. I've never seen a customer in there. Outside, a line had formed in front of the movie theater. As we were walking to the end of it, I spotted Joanne McFadden. She was with Sharon, who's always looking at the ground or the sky, and Elaine, who likes to punch guys in the stomach. I guess Joanne spotted me too, because she called, "Peter," and waved me over to her. "Give me your money and I'll buy your tickets," she said. That way you won't have to stand at the end of the line." Mom had given us enough to treat Alex, Jimmy, and Daniel, so I passed the bill to Joanne and stood right behind her. When the wind blew, her hair hit my face, and I didn't move, even though it tickled my nose. "Well," Elaine said, after we had our tickets, "aren't you going to introduce us to him?" She nodded in Jimmy's direction. "Oh, sure. Jimmy, meet Elaine, Sharon, and Joanne." Jimmy looked at Sharon for a long time. Sharon looked at the sky. "I'm Daniel Manham." the little creep said. I'm 6. I live at 432 Vine Street. That's nice. And who are you? She asked Fudge. Fudge Hatcher. Your little brother? Joanne asked me. Uh-huh. I never knew you had such an adorable little brother. Joanne had never said so many words to me at once. Fudge smiled. Adorable, that's me. And I'm Daniel Manham. I'm 6. We know, Elaine said. You want to make something of it? Daniel asked in his big tough guy voice. Yeah, put 'em up. She had made 2 fists and held them to Daniel's nose. Daniel started to cry. Don't hit me! Please don't hit me! I'm only 6! He covered his face with his hands. I'm not going to hit you, you doof, Elaine said. I only hit guys my own age. Right, Alex? And with that, she belted Alex in the gut. Cut it out, you! Alex shouted a lot of good words at Elaine. Daniel jumped up and down, singing, He said the A word, he said the A word. Shut up, Elaine said to Daniel, or I will slug you. You promised you wouldn't, Daniel whined, and I'm only 6, remember? Why don't you all cut it out, Sharon said, looking at the ground. We went inside and stopped at the candy counter to buy popcorn and Cokes. Then we found seats for the kindergarten babies, got them settled, and crossed over to the other side of the theater, where we found an empty row for the 6 of us. Alex went in first, then Jimmy, then me, then Joanne, Sharon, and Elaine. I wondered if Joanne had planned to sit next to me, the same way I had planned to sit next to her. When the picture started, Joanne offered me some of her popcorn, and when I reached into the carton, our fingers touched. Then I offered her some of mine, so our fingers touched again. By that time, my fingers were covered with grease, but who cared? I began to relax, concentrating more on sitting next to Joanne than on the movie, but maybe that was because I'd already seen it. Then, right when Superman was about to kiss Lois Lane, I felt something icy cold slither down my back, and I let out a yelp. Fudge was hanging over the back of my seat with a handful of ice cubes from his Coke. Hi, PETA. You little... But there was no way I could catch him. He was already racing up the aisle. Here, Joanne said, handing me a Kleenex. Could you do it? I asked. I don't think I can reach all the way down my back. Joanne mopped off my neck and then my back. And when she'd finished, she put her hand close to mine, and the next thing I knew, we were holding hands. Hers was soft but cold. When the movie ended, Joanne, Sharon, and Elaine walked home in one direction, and we walked home in the other. So, what's it like to be in love? Alex asked me. What are you talking about? I said. What are you talking about? Alex mimicked. And Jimmy said, so, when's the wedding? Cut it out, will you? I said. By the time we got home, Alex and Jimmy were talking and laughing as if they'd been best friends for about 100 years, and I felt left out. Dad had cooked a big pot of spaghetti, and Daniel was eyeing it until Mom told him how many onions had gone into the sauce. Not only that, but Mom had fixed a bowl of peas as a side dish, and that was funny because we never have anything with spaghetti but bread and salad. I don't eat anything with onions, and I don't eat peas either. What else do you have? Daniel said. Nothing, Mom told him. Then I guess I'll go home for supper, Daniel said. I thought I saw Mom smile. After supper, Alex went home to get his sleeping bag, and he and Jimmy both slept on the floor in my room. I wondered why I didn't feel better about the 2 of them being friends. Just because they liked each other didn't mean they didn't like me, but I had a hard time convincing myself. For the next week, Fudge walked around talking to himself. To most people, he is Fudge Hatcher, a regular boy. Only his trusty Mina Bird and his friend Daniel know the truth. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. Do you remember when I was born? He asked me one morning. Yes. Did I really grow inside of Mommy? Yes. Oh, he said, sounding disappointed. Why? Because if I did grow inside of Mommy, then I can't be from another planet. Take it from me, I said. You are definitely from Earth. A few days later, Daniel told Fudge that he had been adopted as a baby. So Daniel might be from another planet, Fudge said. Yeah, I thought, that would explain a lot. And he might even be able to fly. Don't count on it, I said. Daniel is my best friend, Fudge said. If it turns out he's from another planet, he's going to take me there to visit. Swell. Don't hurry back. You're just jealous because you don't have a friend who can fly. I don't even have a friend from another planet, I said. Too bad for you, PETA. And he took off, flapping his arms and calling, It's a bird! It's a plane! Chapter 10. Santa Who? My father signed up for 10 Chinese cooking classes. We bought a wok, which is a big round pot, and 4 cookbooks. Most nights, we would sit in front of the fire reading. When you finish writing your book, maybe you can open a Chinese restaurant, I suggested. I don't want to open a restaurant, Dad said, thumbing through the A to Z Chinese cookery. I just mentioned that because Jimmy Fargo's father used to be an actor and now he's a painter. So I thought maybe you were going from advertising to writing to cooking. No, cooking will be a hobby for me, not a profession. Oh, I said. Then I added, I like to know what's going on, and sometimes you forget to tell me. Nothing's going on, Dad said. He flipped through a couple of pages, then turned to Mom. What do you think about making this for tomorrow night? Stir-fried chicken with green onions, mushrooms, water chestnuts, and a touch of ginger. Sounds good to me, Mom said. Cocoa and animal crackers sound good to me, Fudge said. He'd been very quiet tonight, stretched out on the floor with a pad of paper and a fat green crayon. Anyone else for cocoa and animal crackers? Mom asked, getting out of her favorite chair and yawning. Me, I called. Make it unanimous, Dad said. What's unanimous? Fudge asked. It's when everyone agrees, I explained. Everyone agrees, Fudge repeated. That's nice. I like it when everyone agrees. What are you so busy drawing? I asked. I'm not drawing. I'm writing. What are you writing? A letter to Santa. Isn't it a little early, since we're still eating leftover turkey from Thanksgiving? It's never too early, Fudge said. Where'd you hear that one? Where'd you hear that one? I asked. From Grandma, he said. I thought so. That makes it unanimous, Fudge said. Hey, Dad, I wish you'd think twice before you use big words in front of him. Now he's messing up another one. Messing, Fudge babbled. It must be pretty hard to write a letter when you can't even write, I said to him, chuckling. I can write. Since when? Since I was born. Very funny. Just because you never see me write doesn't mean that I can't write, right, Dad? Good reasoning, Fudge, Dad said. Let me see the letter, I said, suddenly wondering if the kid really did know how to write. Maybe he's some kind of genius and my parents don't want me to find out because I'm just a regular kid, I thought. Maybe they already knew that he's going to skip first and second grades. Worse yet, maybe he's going to skip all of elementary and wind up in 7th grade next year. With me. Worse than that, maybe he's going to be one of those kids who goes off to college at 12. There'll be stories about him in all my news magazines, and people will say to me, Hatcher, that sounds familiar. You aren't by any chance related to that child genius Fudge Hatcher, are you? And I'll have to admit, yeah, he's my little brother. And they'll scratch their heads and say, wow, too bad some of it didn't rub off on you. Then they'll laugh and walk away. I reached over and grabbed Fudge's letter. I looked it over carefully. It's just scribbling, I said, feeling relieved. It is not, Fudge said. Santa's never going to be able to read this, I told him. He'll read the important part. There's only one word that makes sense, I said. Bike. That's the important part, Fudge told me, grabbing back the letter. I'll help you write a real letter, I said. This is a real letter. I'll help you write one to go along with this one, just in case Santa has trouble understanding what you want. I could see Fudge thinking over my offer. When he's thinking hard, he scrunches up his lips and looks like a monkey. Okay, he said. He passed me the green crayon and a fresh piece of paper. I'll tell you what to say. He stood over me and began to dictate. Dear Santa, please bring me a two-wheeler bicycle. It should be red, just like PETA's. Come on, I said. Be original. Ask for a blue bike or a yellow one. Red, he repeated, just like PETA's. And no training wheels. Training wheels are for babies. He paused. Go on. That's all. I'm finished. I can sign my own name. He printed Fudgy in big letters at the bottom of the page. Aren't you going to write your last name too? I asked. No. Suppose Santa gets mixed up. He won't. How do you know? There aren't that many kids named Fudge, but just in case, I'll put an H after my name. That way he'll be sure. Mom came back from the kitchen carrying a tray, and we all spread out on the floor and had cocoa and cookies. I'll mail your letter tomorrow, Dad told Fudge. Do you know Santa's address? Fudge asked. Yes, Dad said. What is it? I can't remember, but I have it on my file, Dad said, and he and Mom smiled at each other. Daniel is asking for a bicycle, too, Fudge reported 2 mornings later, so we'll be able to ride to school together. If Santa brings you a bike, I reminded him. Why wouldn't he? I'm a good boy. Aren't I a good boy, Mommy? I didn't wait for my mother to answer. There are a lot of kids who can't get what they want, even if they deserve to get it. There are a lot of kids who... Why can't they get what they want? Fudge asked. Because toys and bicycles cost money, I said. So Santa doesn't have to pay. That's not exactly how it works, I said, gulping down my milk. Then how does it work? Ask Mom or Dad. They'll tell you. I gathered my books and zipped up my jacket. How does it work? Fudgy asked. Hurry up, Fudgy, Mom said, avoiding the question, or you'll be late for school. When I got home that afternoon, I cornered my mother. I don't think it's a good idea for you to let him go on believing in Santa. He thinks you can get whatever you want by just asking. He doesn't know about people who can't afford to buy presents. You should do something about that. After all, you told him where babies came from. How can a kid who knows where babies come from still believe in Santa? I don't see what one thing has to do with the other, but I do agree that sooner or later he'll have to learn that Santa is just an idea, she sighed. But for now, he's so authentic and the idea of Santa is so lovely that Daddy and I have decided it can't possibly hurt. So please go along with it for a while, Peter. I suppose you're going to tell me Tootsie is all about Santa too. I suppose so, Mom said. Well, I think it's a mistake, I said. I turned and walked away. I couldn't remember ever having believed in Santa. When I was 3, I caught my parents stacking presents under the tree. And by the time I was 5, I knew exactly where to look for the presents. My parents thought they had carefully hidden from me. And this year I already knew that I'd be getting a check from Grandma and a clock radio from my parents. I heard Mom and Grandma discussing it on the phone last week. Sometimes I think it would be more fun to be surprised on Christmas morning. I wish my family would try harder to keep secrets from me. That night, after Tootsie had been put to sleep, Fudge got after the rest of us to write our letters to Santa. The early bird catches the worm, he said. Who told you that, Uncle Feather? I asked, laughing. No, Miss Moldor, Fudge answered seriously. He handed each one of us a pencil and a piece of paper. Only 3 weeks to go. He's making a list, checking it twice, gonna find out who's naughty and nice. Santa who's coming to town. Santa who? I said. Santa Claus, he laughed, clapping his hands. Get it? It's a joke. I saw Santa who. Then you say Santa who. Then I say Santa Claus. Get it? Yeah, sure, I get it. Isn't that a good joke? Yeah, great. Daniel taught it to me. I'm not surprised. Fudge put his hands on his hips. Now hurry up and write your letter to Santa, he said. Rather than argue, we wrote our letters. I knew what was coming next. Now, everybody read their letter out loud, so first, PETA. I looked over at Mom and Dad. They nodded their heads, encouraging me, so I read my letter, feeling like a kindergarten baby for the first time in a long time. Dear Santa, please bring me one or more of the following items: a clock radio, a remote-controlled model airplane, a laptop computer, an MP3 player, and 6 CDs. Thank you very much. Sincerely, Peter W. Hatcher. How will Santa know which 6 CDs? Fudge asked. He can just leave me a gift certificate. That way, he won't have to waste time trying to figure it out. Oh, I didn't know Santa could leave gift certificates. Santa could leave anything he feels like leaving, I said. Fudge accepted that and said, Now you, Mommy. When Mom and Dad had finished reading their letters to Santa, Fudge said, What about Grandma? I am sure she's making her list, Mom said. What about Tootsie? Tootsie's too young to write to Santa, I said. Then you write for her, Fudge said, shoving another piece of paper at me. Do I have to do this? I asked. It would be nice, Peter, Mom told me. All right. Dear Santa, please bring me a teddy bear and a pull toy and a box of zip-backs. Z-backs, Fudge said. And that's enough for her. She's just a baby. She doesn't know anything. Fudge was quiet for a minute. Then he said, What about Turtle? Oh, come on. This is getting ridiculous, I said, and I have homework. But he'd ripped another piece of paper from his pad. Dear Santa, I wrote, please bring me a rubber ball, some dog biscuits, and a new collar. Yours truly, Turtle. I folded the letter and handed it to Fudge and said, I'm not going to write one for Uncle Feather. Fudge laughed. Uncle Feather can write his own. Daniel came over the next afternoon. Did you write to Santa yet? I asked. I'm Jewish. I don't believe in that stuff. Oh. I thought Fudge said you asked for a bicycle for Christmas. I celebrate Hanukkah, and I did ask for a bicycle. Who do you ask? My mother and father. Who do you think? I thought maybe you had a Hanukkah fairy or something. You're really stupid, Daniel said, shoving a handful of pretzels into his mouth. Thanks, Daniel. Coming from you, that's a compliment. You're welcome, Daniel said. Then he walked away mumbling, Hanukkah fairy. Our class had a holiday party on the day before vacation with Christmas cookies and island punch. I didn't drink any of it this time, not even one cup, even though I was thirsty. No point in taking chances. We each got to pull a silly present out of a grab bag. I got a pair of red plastic lips. Mr. Bogner brought in a sprig of mistletoe and asked us what we knew about it. Alex raised his hand and said, If you get caught standing underneath it, you might get kissed. Anything else? Mr. Bogner asked. If you want to get kissed, you should try standing under it. Everybody laughed. Anything else that isn't related to kissing? Mr. Bogner asked. No one answered. Well then, I think you should know that mistletoe is a plant which grows on as a parasite on the trunk of trees. Birds eat the shiny white fruits called berries, but these berries are poisonous to man. Early European people used mistletoe as a ceremonial plant. That probably explains why we tend to use it at Christmas time. While he was talking, he walked to the back of the room and hung the sprig of mistletoe near the coat closet. Later, when the bell rang, I ran to get my coat. I found myself standing next to Joanne under the mistletoe. We looked at each other, then we leaned over and kissed my face, way back near my ear. As soon as she did, she turned bright red, and for a minute I thought she was going to cry, but she didn't. So then I gave her a kiss, in the same spot, only she moved her head at the last second and wound up with a mouthful of hair. On Christmas morning, Fudge woke the rest of us before 6 o'clock. I got it, I got it, I got it, he shrieked. A big red bicycle without training wheels. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Santa, wherever you are. We all ran downstairs to open our presents. Turtle got everything on his list, and so did Tootsie, but she preferred the wrapping paper and ribbons to everything else. Besides my clock radio and a check from Grandma, I also got a surprise, a gift certificate for 4 CDs. At 7:30, Mom whipped up a batch of pancakes. At 10 o'clock, Dad fell asleep on the living room sofa, and Mom conked out right on the floor. That night, Fudge came to my room. I was sitting up in bed, reading the instruction manual that came with my clock radio. "Will you teach me to ride my bicycle?" he asked. "Sure," I told him, "as soon as the snow melts." Daniel says he's going to learn to ride on the grass. That's crazy. If you fall off your bike in the street, you can get hurt, Fudge said. "So you'll get a few scraped knees." "Scraped knees bleed, don't they?" "Sometimes," I said. "I don't like to bleed." "Don't worry." "Did you get scraped knees when you were learning to ride?" "A couple of times." "You don't fall that much, believe me." "I believe you." He climbed up on my bed and lay back against the pillow. "Santa didn't bring you everything you wanted, did he?" "I didn't expect him to." I would have got you a laptop, but I didn't have that much money." "I didn't expect a laptop. I was just kidding around." "Me too," Fudge said. "What do you mean? All that Santa stuff?" I put down my instruction manual and looked at him. "What do you mean, all that Santa stuff?" "I know there's no Santa," he said. "Since when do you know?" "Since always." "You don't believe in Santa?" I asked. He laughed. "No, not ever." "Then why?" "Because Mommy and Daddy think I believe in him, so I pretend." "You pretend? You mean that all those letters and all that time?" He smiled at me. "Aren't I a great pretender?" "Yeah," I said. "You're the best." So we're going to go ahead and stop there for tonight. That leaves us on chapter 11, which will be catastrophes. That'll leave us 2 chapters left in this book, and we'll be able to finish it. So again, this is Judy Blume's Superfudge, being read to you with permission from Scholastic. Again, my name is Mr. Roeder, or as my students like to call me, Mr. Sam. I'm a special education teacher and continuing to read these books for kids. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, go ahead and follow me. I'm trying to publish multiple books per day. That way you can listen in on the rest of them. If you do want to hear some more books, I do have some of my prior streams. Just go to past streams and you can look through the other videos that are there. So, again, thank you for watching.